Welcome everybody to All About the Girls, and I am here this month with Julie Wendorf, Director of Crown Point Community Library and the 2025 President for the Indiana Library Federation. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. I think, for those that listen every single month, we had Stephanie from the St. Joe County Library here a few months back, and I thought with all that's happening in the world of libraries, whether that be legislation, growth, community kind of sense, what a great way to end the year having you in. I think I see you as a library cheerleader, probably one of the best ever, and as a fighter for the libraries as well. And I'd love for you to share some of that information. So we'll, of course, dive deep into all that as we go. But what I like to usually ask my guests first is just to tell me a little bit about yourself. Like if you had just met someone, what would you tell them about you? Julie herself.
Well, I'm certainly a lover of libraries, always have been since I was a kid. I remember the day when they opened up a branch library right up the street from my house. Our main library was too far away, had to depend on my parents to bring me there. Never was often enough, but being able to get on my banana seat bike and ride up to the branch library and check out books from the Palatine Public Library was super exciting for me to have access. So that's really one of the things that I really believe strongly in is access for libraries.
Yeah.
But I was always a lover of reading when I grew up. I was a bookworm.
Okay.
I recently found a great picture of me at the McDonald's Playland inside the Hamburglar reading a book. So I have that saved. I framed it for my office. I just think it's hilarious.
I love that. I don't need the ball pin. I'm over here.
No, I'm like, what other than a future librarian would be reading in the play?
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but I started my career as a teacher. I was an English teacher, middle school, high school. So I have a degree in English literature and a degree in secondary education.
Wow.
Took a break from teaching when I had my kids, stayed home for a while, kind of went back to the workforce and tried going back to teaching, and then kind of got bit by the library bug when I started volunteering in the library at Solon Robinson, and then kind of made my way to get my master's in 2013 and became a MLS librarian in 2015.
Wow.
And started full-time at the Crown Point Library then. So was really lucky, really early in my career. We had an opening for the directorship at the Crown Point Library, and the board took a chance on me. They had seen the work that I'd done as the first program an outreach librarian, and they knew that I was already forming connections in the community and saw that I had that passion for the library and knew that they could teach me and I could learn the rest that I need to do as director. So I was really happy to become director in 2018. Was not something I was expecting.
Probably was not on your plan.
No, become my life and it's become my personality now. But I really adore the community that I serve and love everything about the library at every level. I'm kind of unique in that I came up from part-time ranks. So when I first started the library, I worked between 9 and 12 hours a week, depending if I worked the weekend or not. So it's really incredible to go from that part-time role to all the way up to heading the organization. So,
yeah, that's fantastic. Like what a cool transition from English teacher to library, then get into the library, and then to grow within the library, and now you're running the library.
Yeah.
I love libraries in general, but I appreciate your kind of support, fight, and cheerleading of them. It's fantastic. And it sounds like it's been in your blood since those young days.
Yes. And I mean, like you said, oftentimes libraries are the hubs of their communities.
They really are.
So they are, a public place that doesn't require you to spend any money. So there's very few places like that in our communities anymore. So it's really, a role that libraries really embrace and try to make sure that they keep those services available to their communities, whether it be a big city like, Indianapolis or, more urban area, maybe like St. Joe or like Crown Point, right off of downtown square, or in the many rural areas in Indiana. They just play a huge role where there might be the only place in town where you can get free public Wi-Fi.
Absolutely. Yeah. Free Wi-Fi. And then all of the cool programs, like the Napanee Library has this thing called the Cube, and it's just this really cool space that allows you to, they have anything from bike desks. So it's a like pedal bike that you can sit and work at,
Mhm.
to laminators, to all of these cool things. And then you can check out things like podcasting equipment and things like that. Or St. Joe has the podcast studio that you can rent time in. And same for you guys. You have a lot of cool offerings that aren't just a book, and then all of the books as well. And so it's just a really fun to kind of dive into those, and each one is really unique to itself. And I think
that's
wonderful.
What's so great about libraries is they respond to their community needs. So they really see, not every library is going to offer the same things, because they are looking at what their community wants and needs and reach out and meet those needs. So I always love to visit, and I get to visit a lot of libraries, and I just love to take pictures and find the unique thing about that library, whether it be something uniquely their history or some service that they've kind of a niche that they've kind of put in to place because their community wants it. It's just incredible to see the diversity and also creativity that that takes in each community that a library is open.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about, you obviously were a young reader and go into teaching and then go into library. If you think about that trajectory, it's probably much different than what you expected when you got into teaching, probably originally. What did that path look like for you? And what, out of that, how did you define success for you? Because there's a lot of changes. So maybe when that teaching thing seemed a little wonky and you got into the library, maybe that's not great for you originally, but ended up being better in the long run anyway. So tell me about success in you and how you define that for yourself, career and personal life.
Sure. I mean, I just recently had a conversation with a couple other women in that, I think this day and age, women have had to go through that process of, what am I going to do when I grow up? What am I going to do when I grow up again? We tend
at
to
20 and 30 and 40 and
we change,
50,
right?
Yeah,
and
we do.
What works for us at one point of our life might not work in the future, or we just shift. In my case, I moved several states for my husband's job. So went from Ohio to Tennessee to Indiana. And so, I was teaching in Ohio, so I would have had to recertify after taking a break. It was one of those things I had to decide, am I going to go back to school to recertify as a teacher? And frankly, what I loved most about teaching English was the love of the reading material. So when I went back and started doing a little teaching, I was like, I don't know if I want to grade all those papers, the quality of life. I mean, it was a conscious decision. I don't want to be grading papers all weekend. I think I'll go into librarianship. And then, and my husband laughs now because I am hardly ever home because I'm always doing library stuff. But I think success is, for me, has always been, what I have passion for. And I have always been somebody that throws myself 110% into whatever work I do.
I see it.
And so what I love about my library work is that I get to be a part of my community and providing a service to the community. So when I see whether it's a whole huge event that's successful, that makes me so proud and happy for our community. We add to the quality of life for our community. And seeing those metrics in attendance and the statistics grow at our library certainly shows our success. But it makes me just as happy when I work at the reference desk and I help that one person be able to fill out their, a job application or be able to fax something that they need to for their doctor's office. We've made a difference in that person's life. And I think that's what it really comes down to, is that we make a difference and better somebody's life, whether it's in a business kind of orientation, job application, or it's, going to a fun story time and adding that moment in that child's life and that family's life where they're taking a picture because this is the highlight of their day. And so it's really exciting. And that's where I think success for me really is I just love enhancing our community, making our community what it is special.
Yeah, I love it. I see the young kiddos. My sister-in-law just sent me a snap the other day of my niece getting off the elevator because she's only 2 and she's talking about the elevator and she can't tell if it's going up or down, but she feels it. And then she gets off and it's the library, right? And she gets off and she's like, oh, and it's just this cute moment for kiddos, but it's a magical experience for them. It was for me as a kid. I loved the library. I loved going. I loved just kind of exploring everything. And so it is neat. I bet it's great to be a part of that. Yeah.
It is. It really is. Last couple of weeks has been really interesting at the library because we are fortunate to have one of the big bulldogs that Crown Point has on.
Yes, yes.
And it's in our lobby. So it's been a tool that since we moved it in there for parents to use. The kids greet it when they come in the door. They're so excited. It never fails. I go past and they're taking pictures with it every day.
Yeah, you've got to get the dog selfie. Yes.
And then parents will use it to get their kids out of the building because it's right by the front door. Let's go see the dog or whatever on their way out. But we're redoing our terrazzo floors, so the dog's been put away. And I have heard so many stories of kids coming into the library. They're so disappointed because that's part of the experience. Is to that touchstone of being part of our community is like we get to go see the dog. We get to go do the things that we look forward to doing at the library.
I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I mentioned briefly, the challenges that libraries or a lot of government associations or groups have been dealing with. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced in your career as a whole? And maybe it is kind of tying into some of those because it seems like you're fighting probably one of the harder battles and you're fighting the hardest. So tell me some of those challenges and how you're trying to work through them.
Sure. Libraries in Indiana have really been under fire since right around 2023.
Okay.
So that year is the year that we started finding somewhat of the culture war materials. So we had legislation that hit us that was going to take the educational protection away from both public librarians and school librarians for materials that the powers that be would say were harmful materials for minors.
Yes.
And they like to throw the term around pornography. However, there is no pornography in any library in the state of Indiana. I can assure you that I'm willing to go to the table for that and say that there's absolutely no pornography. What is under fire is materials that might deal with LGBTQ issues. Even DEI now is considered harmful. So there's been lots of issues where materials have been under fire in both public libraries and school libraries. ILF, Indiana Library Federation, really worked really hard trying to get that legislation not to move forward, but we had very little luck. It was really, I had a lot of steam behind it. Unfortunately, that law passed and impacted school librarians. And as a result, a school librarian, if found guilty of having harmful materials in their library, would face a level 6 felony in jail time.
Because it's classified as pornographic.
Yes.
Insane.
Yes. So they were the proponents of this bill. Some special interest groups were really disappointed that public libraries were taken out of the bill. But public libraries really are a place where we expect and what we provide is a range of materials, and that we know for everybody, and that's our strength, right? We're going to provide books to the right and to the left in the political, and actually in all things. Try to
the right, left,
needs.
And everyone on all across the spectrum.
Right. So, so that's really always been our goal, is to provide, what you pick out what you like, what you're looking for, and so we always, champion the right for parents to pick the materials that they want for their child. Library, in the public sense, never acts as in loco parentis. So we want you to pick what you want. It's your responsibility to pick what you want for your family. And so, and of course, championing freedom to read and the First Amendment rights, all those things are really important for the public library. So we were able to pull ourselves out of that bill because the lawmakers recognized that public library is definitely a different thing than a school library.
Good.
However, the people that were behind that legislation weren't very happy with that. And so they vowed that they'd bring the bill back, which they have each year. But then they also said they would go after our funding, and which they did in 2024. Right. So we had funding challenges since 2024 and continue to have those where they are looking at taking away the taxing authority of libraries so that we would be under another government entity, which means your budget is not your budget. And that means it could be cut at any time. So we really fight for the independence of libraries. The way that we operate in our communities is unique. And we feel like we're the best suited to run those.
Absolutely. Because we just discussed how different each library is and who they need to serve. I mean, the Napanee Library, I noticed very quickly, their setup is very attuned to more of the Amish population because they have a larger Amish population.
Exactly.
So we're at a library, maybe closer, like maybe yours, and I don't know this off the top of my head, but maybe you guys have 4 computers to work at. They probably have 12 because they just have more of a need for people that need to come in and use a computer. And usually almost everybody has more than 4, but just there's more there. I noticed there's more of those outlets, or the things that, as I mentioned, those kind of cool, neat, different things you could check out. We're definitely attuned more to an Amish community, where maybe yours is different, where South Bend's is different, because they're not serving that same population. And I think if you don't have kind of the autonomy to make your own decisions there, then that doesn't happen, because you're serving as a whole to the whole community across the whole nation versus this specific community that you're actually serving.
Right. And, you know, if a county was in charge of the library, they're not trained to know the library specific rules, regulations, but also the ethics that are involved in that. So it's really important that library professionals, trained professionals, are in charge of libraries.
Yeah. And training, we talked about this briefly off camera, I think, and Stephanie mentioned it briefly as well. I think the training, education, all behind working for a library is a lot more extensive than most people know, as you mentioned, especially in the leadership roles. So I think you're absolutely right. Like you guys are literally educated and prepared to make those decisions where it can't be filtered under some gray overhead.
Correct.
It doesn't seem to make a good idea.
Yeah. And it's really interesting as a library director, we always have jokes about, you know, well, I didn't learn that in library school. Like as I like last week.
The weirdest thing you have to deal with.
Well, recently on like last Friday, it was watching our HVAC units being, you know, raised and lowers from the rooftop, you know, and the amount of information I know about HVAC and lighting and other things in the library is, you know, in terms of operations and the physical plant part of it is incredible. You just never thought
you
that
had
would be
such
part
an
of what
inclusion in it, and you never knew you would have to.
Right.
So
getting back to the challenges, though, I think in 2025, we, along with a lot of the governmental units, with the push to cut property taxes and have property tax reform, while we understand the desire for that, especially for those on fixed incomes, it comes at the expense of services, governmental services.
Absolutely.
And so libraries are particularly challenged because, you know, I think the thing that we have heard the most is like, do more with less. Well, libraries are experts of doing more with less. We always have been. We've never been like funded in such a way that we have excess dollars.
Cash around.
Never. And so, you know, I like to joke. I think I testified once down at the Senate, is that, you know, if I give my staff a paper towel roll or a toilet paper roll, they can come up with 50 different crafts to do that. Like
you're going to use it.
We're doing it already. So we're really maximizing the modest tax dollars that we get already. And the return on the investment that the libraries use of those tax dollars is incredible. You know, 100% of our funding is really going back to serving our community. So it goes right back into the community. So we're really proud of that. But as I always say, it's like, at one point when you start cutting, we do less with less. There's no way to
you can't do more
further.
with less at some point. You already are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we're already seeing libraries having to cut back hours and close branches. You know, we've had to do some restructuring in our library in that I don't have any cuts in hours yet. Open 7 days a week. But, you know, it might, if it continues to get cut and challenged, then, you know, those are hard decisions that are on the table. And that means reduced services to our community. That's what it's about. And that's what makes me sad.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think as I mentioned, you're being this incredible advocate. You're going to Washington, you're going to Senate, you're kind of fighting for the cause. You're updating it regularly on social media so that people really understand what this is. Because I think if you're not in the library world, or you don't use it often, or you don't have the luxury of having a job like mine that I get to hear about all of these things because of media, you don't understand. And I think that's the thing, is we need this in our neighborhoods. We need that. It's something that I've seen, you know, my sister-in-law takes the kiddos there because she needs a moment and they need a moment, and she's got 3 kids, and this is her saving grace is they'll go listen to story time and she can have 5 minutes of peace. I think that's the stuff we all need to remember could easily go away.
Right.
And we don't want that. That's bad for the community.
Well,
This is something to support regularly.
Exactly. And like I told you off camera, and one of the reasons why the Crown Point Library has partnered with Great News is to get our good news out there.
Yeah.
I think libraries as a whole, we're so busy doing the work that we're doing in our communities that we're not always trumpeting that good news of the
Great point.
libraries. And so that's something that I've really been taking on the last couple of years, advocacy at the state level with the Indiana Library Federation. I'm chair, have been chair or co-chair of the advocacy committee. We'll go back to that after this year's over with my presidency.
Okay.
But just talking about the role of libraries in our communities, and it's so much more, like you said, than just books. Now,
really
is it still books? Yes, of course it is. But it's also about placemaking in your community, making your community something special, and having those resources in your community. It's about economic development.
Yeah.
You know, we're supporting those businesses on Main Street, the entrepreneurs that are looking for resources to grow their businesses. We're definitely there for those that are working from home that don't want to be at their homes anymore. You know, they want to find a place where they can find free high-speed internet and have a place to conduct business, whether it's in a study room or just your open space. We also really provide economic development for our communities too. We're really one of those things that make our community special.
Yeah.
And so that makes a big difference too. But we're also a place for barrier-free access to early literacy. So that area alone, you know, if you can't afford a childcare or a preschool for your child, but you can go to free story times and events at the libraries multiple times a week, probably, if you seek it out.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that I don't think people really realize in terms of the library being a community hub is that we are probably the number one place that's combating senior loneliness and the lack of connection.
Here's the other side almost no one thinks about.
So, you know, we have activities almost daily at our library. Then we have seniors that were their pattern of their week. You know, they know they're going to mahjong on Monday. They're going to knitting on Wednesday. They're going to, you know, a card crafting class on Thursday. They have kind of worked our schedule of events and the way that they can meet friends and discover activities at no cost or very low cost for supplies is incredible. And people don't realize that, you know, we really are kind of part of the fabric of their communities. I think people would notice if all of a sudden we were out of the picture. If we were just kind of lifted out, people would realize what we were bringing to the community. But they just take us for granted. We've been around
and
for
let's
so
not
long,
have
right?
that happen, right? Like, let's not wait until it's gone to appreciate it. Let's help early on so that never happens.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's that idea of a hub. You know, you got a new mom that all of a sudden is staying home with a new baby. They don't have any mom friends yet.
No,
So what do? They come to a story time and then they start meeting their mom friends. We actually have programming that just is like the mom cafe, caregiver cafe we call it.
Cool.
So that those new people can come in and we just have our little Keurig machine in there and we put out toys and activities for the kids and that gives them a chance and a forum to be able to meet each other and make friends. So they build friendships and in that program, they do that at senior level. They do it at our crafting program. So it's just amazing to see those opportunities for friendship and connection to grow, which is something our community has really struggled with since the pandemic. And so we are one of the few places that allow that to happen in a natural way.
So tell me a little bit about, you mentioned yourself, now you're almost never home, even though that was kind of the way to be more at home.
Right.
How do you balance all that you're doing with the library, all of your home life, and make that work for you? Obviously, that's probably not 50-50, but how do you make it work?
Well, I'm not necessarily great at it right now. I figure it's a season of life right now.
Yes,
and so, I stayed at home and did that 100% of the time for many years. And right now, work is taking some precedence in some of that time.
Absolutely.
My kids are older though. They're in their 20s now. And so they don't need me on a daily basis.
Sure.
They're probably like, hey, mom's not paying attention to us.
She's got her own thing. We love that for her.
With other things. But definitely, it's a balance, right? It's hard.
It really is.
I work too many hours really because, it's been good for libraries for me to get out and do that cheerleading.
Yeah, we see it. I definitely see it. You're
but
doing
that's
it
usually
great.
outside of my work hours, or
that's all on top of your 40. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So doing, just doing that work on top of it has been, I think, an investment in libraries, an investment in Crown Point, in Winfield. I think it makes a big difference and brings those quality of life and the way that the library has really upped its game. And I recognize that as a commitment and my part in an investment I'm doing personally in our community, which I'm okay with right now. But one of these days it'll be less.
And that's okay, as long as you're coming out of it saying, I'm happy, and I know this is an investment. This is my investment, this extra time in this season of my life where it seems to maybe be working for you. And that's what I like to see the most is, I think, there's so much conversation around balance, and we think of balance as 50-50, and that doesn't have to be. Whatever works for you. And you're right, that investment in your libraries and in your community is heavier. It weighs more. So it's just going to be maybe here for now, but I think recognizing it's half the battle, because then you can be prepared for it and kind of accepting of that, and then say, okay, and when that doesn't work for me, I can change it.
I think I try to be mindful about bringing little moments of joy to my day, so I'll make sure I make, lunch dates with friends during the day. And instead of working through lunch, which I'll do typically most days, have those appointments where I have, a fun lunch date with people. But I also think of the moments where I just walk down and I'll go walk into the youth services area and I just watch the kids play at the play area. That just makes me happy to, whether it's, taking a couple minutes to stand at the public desk and do public service too, instead of, getting away from spreadsheets or whatever is in my office.
Get away from the screen for a sec.
I just love to be by the work, the frontline work of the libraries. That's where I started my career in libraries, and I really questioned whether or not I wanted to be a director for a long time, because I love that frontline work as much as I do. But then I had an aha moment where I said, Julie, you can make directorship whatever you want it to be. And my board supports that, of course. And they knew my strengths were still in making community connections, and being, visible at the library and not just on the third floor in my office, away from people. So I certainly balance that, the work that I have to do in my office, but also get out of my office and be a part of our community and be a part of in the public floors of the library, which I really adore. So that always makes me happy just to go in. Last week, I do gardening at my house, and so one of the things we do is grow raspberries, and so
neat.
So a huge raspberry harvest every year. So we do a whole bunch of cooking programs at the library. So I was like, hey, make sure you keep in mind, we can't afford raspberries at volume for a library program, but guess what I can do? I can bring them for free. And so we plan to have a Charlie Cart program, which is a mobile kitchen program for toddlers, and they were doing some fruit salad or something, and they needed raspberries. So I brought my raspberries in. So I made sure I got to go down there and just see the kids popping in the raspberries in their mouth and enjoying something. And it's really kind of cool to see the work that I do when it's like writing that grant for the Charlie Cart, to have those tools there. I love to go see them in action. So I just always take that time to kind of pop out and see that kind of stuff, because it really it reminds me always continually of the why. Why am I doing something?
I think we probably all need to be doing that within our own days and our own careers, no matter what it is finding the make sure you always remember your why. I have a friend that always says that, like, what's your why? What's your why? Always bring it back to what your why is. And I think it's really a great way to implement that regularly and bringing it back. And then I think that probably helps. And it may be a great segue to what I was going to ask next is, it probably helps with any burnout or kind of just getting frustrated, or when you are behind the screen and buried in the spreadsheets, this is something that brings you out of that, I would guess. Because that's what I was going to ask is, have you faced moments of doubt or burnout? And then how do you work through that? And maybe this is the answer, but maybe you have some other things too.
I mean, this year has certainly been a challenge.
I suppose the last few, right?
I mean, as I tell people, I said, this was not the year to become the president of the Indiana Library Federation. So it's been a lot of challenges, and the media attention, and really dealing with reporters and issues, newspapers and stuff throughout the state. all year has been something that has been a real learning experience. I've had some experience locally with that, but it just, I think in the last 2 weeks, I've had a call or a media contact every other day about something. And and I love it. Like, it's a good problem
I was just going to say the
right?
same thing. Like, how great that you're getting out there so much. But
it can be stressful to be prepared for those kind of questions and making sure you're politically astute in the situation. So it can be exhausting. But again, that's when I dive into something and say, like last Friday night, we're showing a movie at Bulldog Park. Would most directors be at those kind of activities all the time after hours? Probably not. But I like to go out there and take the video and see the kids twirling around with the ribbons that I bought from Amazon when they're doing the song for Glinda, and they're doing the song,
magic.
And so that's the joy, to see the hard work that you've done kind of come to fruition and be that moment for that child's life. That might be a memory for them, a core memory for them forever. It's like, remember when we used to go to Bulldog Park and watch the movies and run around and see, and who made that possible? The library, and the partnerships that we have with our community partners, like the city of Crown Point or the town of Winfield or GreatNews.Life or whoever it is. We have our partnerships, and we just do extraordinary work through those partnerships. And that's the joy that I get from.
I think that's brilliant. Okay. So let's talk about outside of the library.
Sure.
So what are some of the things that you like to do when you're not there? You mentioned gardening. So, and it sounds like, now are you flowers, fruit, everything in between?
We do vegetable gardening and fruit and flowers. I love flowers. That's like one of the things that I do is get a subscription of flowers in the summertime through Sunnyside Drive flowers. And so I have that in my office just to have that moment of joy, to see flowers in my office all summer long.
Great idea.
But I love to do that. Of course, I love to read, love to spend time with my husband, being more intentional about that as I got busier and busier. And, we like to go to the farmer's market in Crown Point every Saturday. We just always made that as kind of our date morning.
What a nice thing.
But we just, but I do read a lot. I do a lot of audiobooks now too, as I'm driving all over the place to Indianapolis or wherever I'm going, so that I can keep reading when I'm in the car, which is great. So that's kind of what keeps me busy. Like to travel. My family is not from this area, so I like to travel to Charleston, see my mom and my sister and my brother all live there. I have a twin sister, so it's good to see her down
I did not know you were a twin.
And then friends and family that have relocated to Florida. So I'm always kind of trying to sneak in a trip to see family and friends too. So.
And are your kiddos that you mentioned they're grown? Are they still local?
Yeah, they're still with me at my house, so I still see them.
Okay, you don't have to take vacations to see them yet.
No. So, but they are in their 20s. So
that's fantastic. I like it. And then tell me about people in your life that have really impacted you along the way. Of course, especially those women that are your tribe or your people. But who has really impacted you throughout your journey?
I have had a lot of mentors, and I think of some longtime Crown Point Library staff members that have retired in recent years. The Barb Hulk at the library worked there for over 30 years, and she really encouraged me to go after my master's. And when she retired, I ended up taking her job. It was changed in that it became more outreach, but that was somebody that really inspired me at a time after I was staying home and didn't know if I really had it in me to do those kind of things. She really encouraged me to do it, and has been my cheerleader, still is. I also think of it was a short mentorship, but made all the difference in the world for me. Was between directors at the library. We had an interim director, and she had been a past president of the American Library Association.
Okay.
So we're really lucky to have her leadership for even a short amount of time at the library. And I was working part-time at the time and just had started my degree. In a master's degree. And she decided to kind of take me under her wing for the shorter time that she was there at the library, about 6 months or so. And I just remember the moment we were sitting in the Indiana room at the library, and she leaned back after I just been pouring out my passion about libraries or whatever, and what I was doing and what I was excited about going back to school. And she just leaned back. She goes, well, one day you're going to be a library director. And I said, no, I'm not. I want to work with the front line. I like doing all that kind of stuff. I'm never going to do that. I had the same feelings when I was teaching. They'd try to tap me to go into administration. I'm like, no, I love teaching. I want to be in the classroom. I don't want to be pulled out from that. But she said, no, you are. She goes, you're going to get frustrated because the leadership is limiting what you want to do, and you're going to want to make changes and really make a difference in your community. And it wasn't that much longer after that I realized that, and having that, like I said, that aha moment of knowing that I can structure it the way that I want to see it structured rather than doing it like the person before me did.
Yes.
And so I think that was a big thing to realize, that you don't have to be what the person was before you.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a mentorship that was, although very short, very meaningful to me. But we're really lucky in libraries that we meet on a monthly basis with our counterpoint points. So like all the directors in Northwest Indiana meet once a month. So the mentorship that we have kind of going back and forth with other directors has always been meaningful to me too.
Absolutely.
So just really lucky to have those connections, whether it be Northwest Indiana at Indiana Library Federation, or also we have a group of counterparts of large libraries in Indiana that meet twice a year too.
Oh, fun. Great.
So yeah. So and one of my other really favorite mentors was Edra Waterman, who was at the time director down in Indianapolis area at a library. And so she taught me a lot too. And I admired her so much going through a book challenge season where her library was the one that had the lieutenant governor on their board that that really caused some issues with book banning in their library. And until John Green's book got moved into the adult section, and that caused much of a stir and kind of reversed that. So, but I've been lucky to have a lot of mentors, and because of that, I have mindfully tried to become mentors to
that. I was just going to ask that exact question, is tell me how you're mentoring.
I'm a lifelong learner. I mean, that's one of our mottos of libraries, that we're lifelong learners. And so I like to encourage my staff to have opportunities to learn more and to encourage them to grow, and then give them the opportunities at the library too to do that. So that's just always kind of been part of my personality, is to push that out to others, just the way that I kind of hold it for myself too.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. And tell me about your family and support system, or they don't have to be the same, but how do they help you achieve all of this along the way? Your husband's got to be really understanding.
Yes, he is. He works from home, so he's got a much quieter life than I do. I would say. But he, I once read somewhere that often teachers and engineers get together.
Is he an engineer?
He's a chemical engineer, and he's way more introverted than I am. And so he doesn't always like to go out to the things that I go to. And I drag him every once in a while because I want proof of his existence. For people
I swear everybody has him really married. Yeah,
here he is. Look at him.
He actually exists.
Yeah, but he's definitely at the beginning of my career was voluntold a lot of things and helped me get a lot of things off the ground at the library. He's always a resource for me to bounce ideas on. He's a very smart individual. So I really appreciate the work that he does to support me in my library work. And he's patient with me, knowing that, that there are times where I'm not home for dinner. And so, but he's just a great guy. We've been married for over 30 years.
Wow.
And so love of my life. So I really love the relationship that we have. And my kids, they're at that stage where they don't need me as much anymore. And they I think they're proud of me.
Like you said before, they're probably like, Mom's got her own thing.
Yeah. So it's been, I think, kind of a surprise to them for me to go back to work and work at the level. I never thought I'd go back to work at the level that I am, and get to a part of my career where I'm really kind of at the top of where
absolutely.
I would never have dreamt that, even when I went back for my first class in 2013.
And especially because you stopped working when you had kids, they get to see you now go from just mom, air quotes, because we all know it's bigger than that. But then to this crazy great role, the work along the way,
Yeah.
climbing all of that.
Right.
They get to see it and now get to see kind of the fruits of that labor.
Exactly.
And it's probably great. And it's probably exciting for them to see too. Like, look at her doing her thing.
Yeah. Whether it was working on my computer, you know, at late at night, trying to get those assignments done. I think, you know, it showed them the work ethic and the hard work
and what it does
success.
and what it can come to given that hard work and ongoing input.
Right.
That's awesome.
But they kind of laugh. It was like when I first started, they would see me in the paper and they were like, ooh, you know, and so, you know, I usually bring stuff home for them to see what I'm in. And they're like, yeah, again, Mom, you know, so
we get it. You're cool.
So it's quite hilarious. It's kind of an inside joke now. So.
And do you ever struggle with kind of maintaining your sense of self with being so intertwined with the library? Like, do you ever feel like I need to not be the library, or do you just embrace that and run with it?
You know, I've embraced it. I was doing a leadership thing where you had to send out what's that one, the Northwest Indiana one, that L&I.
Oh yeah, L&I. Yep.
So I was doing that, and you have to do that, you know, 360 review thing. So I did it. I sent it to, I think I had 70 people I sent it to, people, you know, at our partnership program people, and then my staff, my entire staff, and just lots of partners. And one of the things I got back was a comment from somebody that says, talk about something else except for the library. That's all I do. So, I mean, I guess I've decided to embrace it. I remember during the pandemic, some of my staff said that I was the Leslie Knope of libraries. And I said, I never watched the show Parks and Rec. So I went back during the pandemic. My husband and I watched all seasons. And I remember watching the first season of it. And the first season, that character is pretty ditzy, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I had to go back to the couple of.
You're like, I'm getting offended.
I said, what about Leslie Knope that you reminded you of me? And like, oh, it's two things. It's your legendary gift giving, and then also that you're just libraries all the time. Parks.
Yeah.
Fair. So,
you're like, okay, so it's not the ditzy stuff. It's the other stuff. Yeah.
So I definitely, you know, I've just learned to embrace it. They always kind of laugh when I take a day off, and if I'm actually not out of the state or out of the city,
are you actually going to show up?
I usually pop in at one point, and they're like, "Aren't you off?" I'm like, "Yeah." So
I just needed to see, or I wanted to do, or I had to drop off. There's always something,
right? Yeah. But with the responsibilities that I have with Indiana Library Federation, while it is part of my workday at times, I also don't want to take that away from the work I do for our immediate community. So there are times where I'm there doing other work for the Indiana Library Federation, late at night or after hours that definitely built into my day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And your hours consumed. Yeah, absolutely. So you just mentioned that people see you as a legendary gift giver. Tell me more.
I just love to give gifts.
And you must be good at
shop. I love to get gifts. I love paying attention to relationships, but also finding like what you like. Like, if I get to know you, I'm going to know what you like.
I love
know
this
what your
so
favorite
much.
color is.
Okay.
I know what you like to read. I just kind of get to know you. I used to have to jot it down, but I kind of just keep it in my head. And so when I see something, I have in my my guest room what I call the gift drawers. So if I see something that really reminds me of somebody, I'll just buy it and put it in my drawer. And
I'll put a Post-it on it. That's for my friend.
Then I have to come up with a reason to give you a gift, which I can come up. It's
any
Tuesday
reason.
Yeah, sunny.
Your hair's pretty.
So I love to do that because I think it's unexpected. I think it brings joy to other people.
I absolutely agree.
I love it. I just adore doing it, and I do a lot for my staff in that way, and just trying to encourage them. One of the things, like after summer reading, happens every year. Summer reading is, we love summer reading at the library, and we hate summer reading sometimes because it's exhausting.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, it's so intense.
It's a relentless 2 months that is just absolutely nuts with programming and people coming in the door and new library cards. And because there are more people, it's like more mess in the bathroom.
More people, more new people. Yes, absolutely.
Across the board. It's just, we kind of take a big sigh. And the last couple of years, I partnered with the Friends of the Library because I want to say thank you to the staff. Like, what can we do? Whatever. And nothing ever seemed seems to be enough, right? And so I
like you see the big work, you're like, how do we really repay you?
You know, because the library can't pay them extra, you know, and I can't use library funds in any way like that because they're taxpayer dollars. So I partner with the Friends of the Library. In the last couple of years, I've presented a snack bar, you know, afterwards.
Great.
So, you know, we go and I spend money of my own and then the friends and go and spend, you know, several $100s at Costco and get all of the individually
cool
wrapped snacks.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
And then we just set it up on the bar, you know, in both locations and have drinks too. And then they get to enjoy something on their break, their lunch or whatever for like 2 weeks. So it's just a great way.
It's like a payback.
Last year I did like a lemonade or iced tea bar where they had all the flavorings. They could,
Ooh,
you know,
a little lavender here.
So it's just like trying to come up with an affordable way to treat your staff of 40 because it gets to be expensive.
Absolutely.
In a way that you can say, hey, I see the work you're doing. I appreciate you. Or I appreciate you just as a friend, you know, and I see you and know what you like and what makes your heart happy. And this is for you because I want to make that happen for you today. So
that's beautiful. What advice would you give to any women who are struggling to find the balance in life, or they are kind of always feeling like they don't have their community, or they're falling behind in their professional life, or they're falling behind in their personal life because of their professional life? What advice would you give to that person?
You know, we were just talking about this for the chamber and for our wild committee that we serve on. And
great people.
I think when we had an event this past summer talking about it really was that question, like, how do we encourage women, right? And I think, and I kept on bringing to the conversation is, I think, first of all, there's no easy answer because we're all individuals, we're all unique. And what brings me joy and comfort and eases those pressures is not going to what eases it for you.
Absolutely.
And I think I hate that for, you know, women now, because I think there's like this stock answer of like, how do we relieve that? It's like, self-care, like just put on a face mask,
say
whatever,
more
no.
Yeah.
More no, or stop your work day at 5 o'clock and be really
nothing after hours.
You know? I'm like, that's not always like doable.
Yeah.
I think it has to be unique for that person. And
because that might not even help some.
It doesn't.
It's not the after hour stuff that gets me flustered or overdone. It's not. I don't mind that stuff. And most often I get to see people like you and I'm like, this is a blast.
And it's energizing for me, right?
Absolutely.
Like as an extrovert, I'd love to be a part of those situations.
Me too.
And I don't consider it work. It's outside of my work day. And I consider it a way to energize and connect and to make those relationships and whatever. So I see those as support too. And but I think, you know, you just have to know yourself well enough to know what you need. I think really think about what you need.
Yeah, like I know I don't need to take that off my plate. It doesn't bug me. And if there's one every night for 3 weeks, okay.
Yes.
But for the most part, that doesn't hit me hard, so I don't need to remove it. But you're right, that might hit some hard, and some might need to even do the opposite, and they need to add more of it. So what it is for each person, that's super smart.
And you know, you just identify what it is. Like, I mean, and sometimes you know, it's art in your office, or it's like for me, it's flowers every Friday in my office, and it's whatever that brings you joy. And I think you just have to be really kind of in tune with yourself and not listen to sometimes the noise externally that is telling you, well, nope, you're supposed to just turn off your computer at 5 and then that will solve the problem. Well, it's not. That sometimes puts more stress on you, because if you can't do it, then you're failing at being, you know, a woman that manages your life the way that they say you should. Right?
And now you're spiraling about not finishing it, and it's not helping you whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. So I say, you know, you just have to determine that for yourself. It's very personal.
Yeah.
I
completely agree.
I think. Yeah.
And I think, you know, I see my husband do this. He's really good at it, where maybe I'm not, he leaves work and he comes home almost every day, no less than 4 times a week. And he works in his pole barn, and he's got, you know, his auto shop out there, and he really likes cars, and he'll have projects, whether it's a friend's car he's working on. He's got several cars that he's trying to upkeep and work on. And every day he comes home from work, he eats a little food, and he goes outside and he works for another couple hours. Now, for me, that's work, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with car stuff whatsoever.
Right.
I would never find that enjoyable, but it's his kind of calm down. It's his release. If the day was frustrating, it's not anymore by the time he leaves that barn.
Right.
And I think that's so cool, because he's made it work for him. That's his outlet. That's his thing. And he's pretty dogmatic about it. Like that's something he has to do regular. And when this week's really busy, so maybe he's only done it once so far. So he's got to make sure, okay, I don't want my projects to get behind. I got to get out there. And I think sometimes I'm just crappy at doing that. I need to be better about almost giving myself those opportunities. I know what they are. I love to go I have it's called a bitch barn. It's my little pavilion in my backyard that I love to go hang out in. And it's all set up with like markers and coloring and paint and hanging. I like to decorate it out there. I love to do yoga out there, meditate, all those things. How often am I actually doing that? We all know I don't have any kids. I have the time. I can definitely make the time. I'm just not doing that because I'm not building it in, and I need to. And I think it's identifying and then ensuring that it's there. And I think he's great at it. Maybe I could learn from doing a little bit more of that. Like if I really like to do that, do it.
Yeah. And I struggle sometimes with like, well, I'm always too busy. So my office is a disaster. Like don't ever look at my office.
Okay.
But, you know, and I'm okay with that. Even though I'm a very organized person, it drives me insane after a certain point. And so I think sometimes I have to give my permission to myself to like say, it's okay to take the time to do something as mundane as organizing your office. And because that's actually good for me too.
And it'll make you feel better.
It's not just flowers and whatever, gift giving or something. Sometimes it's like making your space workable for you. Right.
Yep.
And allowing yourself that time to do that.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So you don't feel
that's a great
overwhelmed
point.
when you see the piles of work around
What's
you.
going to make you go, and breathe and feel good for a second? Do that.
But it feels selfish sometimes. You know?
It does. Absolutely. Or like, oh my gosh, I can't take time to do that. I've got these other 7 things. Well, that's going to help you do those 7 things faster and you're going to feel better. So you're going to do them better.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so as you know, we had, and I'm probably not going to take this, anybody listening, I'm probably going to leave this question in here forever because I just love it. But this year's All About the Girls was, Dear Me, advice you would give to a younger self. So what is your piece of advice that you would give to a younger you if you could go back in time?
Probably to believe in myself earlier in life. Like I did not think that I was able to do big things for a long time in my life. So I think taking a chance on myself earlier in my life.
Well said. Yes.
I think I would have done different things in life, you know? And so I enjoy the opportunities that I have now to think on a big scale and make a difference on a big scale. And I think I wish I had another 10, 15 more years of my career because I wonder where I'd be at.
Had you done that even earlier? Yeah. That's, I think, a big one for a lot of people. But when you can believe in yourself, and I think I believe in myself so much now at 42 compared to 30, it's wild.
Right.
And I was still very confident in those days. I don't know that confidence has really been much of a problem for me most of my life. Or maybe I was even more confident then than I am now, but I'm stronger with myself. It's just different. It feels different. Like that almost felt fake.
Right.
It was fake confidence where now I have a true confidence about me. That's just different.
Yeah. And I think I also would tell myself to allow myself more grace. You know, I think of all the time where I would hold something like a failure or something that I wish I would have done or something and kind of let it haunt me longer than it should have. I think that, you know, I think I've learned, I think the older I get, that allowing grace not only for myself, but the people in my life is a gift we can give. And I think and then also that question about mentoring, right, is like, I try to encourage those people to take the chance on themselves. Like go for it, you know, and encourage them. You know, some of the people that I like to meet most with are people in their 20s and 30s and say, you could do it. Go for it, you know, and also let them know that there's going to be a time in your life that you're probably going to have to say, what am I going to do when I grow up again? And it's okay. Like you don't have to feel like you put your hat on and that's the only hat you can wear for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
And give yourself a chance to do new and different things and know that it's completely acceptable.
Yeah. And great.
And you don't have to justify it.
We almost feel bad. Like, wait, I don't want to change anything. Right. Change is scary. And so we get scared and then we think that it's bad, but it's actually probably great for you.
Right.
And we can do hard things. And
we
it's going to be fine.
We do.
Yeah,
and we all do such a great job, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what's next for you both personally and professionally? If you think about 2026, what do you have?
2026.
Yeah.
Well, I step away from the presidency at ILF and become
Okay.
past president, which is an official role too, but less so.
Okay.
We'll step back into the co-chair for advocacy. So I'll still be at the State House quite a bit for advocating for libraries. So that won't change. There's projects on the horizon for the library in 2026. Looking forward to installing another story walk somewhere in Crown Point at a beautiful new venue, and just really excited about how the library can continue to grow to meet the community needs in the community. Personally, working better and better at making sure I take time off and do like this year. I'm actually have taken a big vacation. First one with just my husband for a long time since the kids have been born. If that's crazy.
Oh my gosh, fantastic.
Going to Hawaii, and then next year my brother-in-law is on sabbatical, so we're probably going to visit him when he's doing some traveling in Europe next year. So first time to just use my vacation. I'm not good at it. My staff knows I'm not good at it, but I'm looking forward to being more mindful about getting away and doing stuff and kind of returning back and trying to bring a little bit more balance in my life.
Absolutely.
To saying, I don't have to work those huge hours over and above what I usually need to do my job, and kind of cut back a little bit and have some other points of joy and
good
and stuff.
Absolutely. Needed.
Definitely.
Good. Yeah. What brings you the most joy in life right now?
I guess it's really small things. I don't know what it is about life right now is that I don't look for the huge things, right? Yeah. I'm looking for the small moments. So I don't know. I really do, when I'm driving and it's just a beautiful scenic area and the sun is shining and my favorite song from the 80s is playing on the radio, that brings me joy.
Those moments that just seem perfect.
Yeah. And, whether it's walking with my husband at the farmer's market, whatever, I think that's, I just try to find those moments of joy. I think that's all we can, because those add up to the big things, right?
Absolutely.
So if you concentrate on the small things, it will add up to the big things. And that's what I've been trying to be more mindful, because I think the pressure of trying to get the big thing is so overwhelming. Like, how can I get that? I didn't, until I broke it down, I realized you can get that if you do it in small pieces, the whole, how to eat elephant, bite at a time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
okay, that's great. And if you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would be those 3 words?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. I would definitely say, and we talked about this off camera, competitive. I really am. I am very competitive. My staff knows that.
I think if anybody's connected with you online, they know that. When you're out there, you're fighting, you're supporting, you're shouting it out.
So definitely advocate. That's something that I'm a cheerleader for a lot of things. And persistent, I think.
Absolutely. That's a great one.
Keeping on, and trying to push through and make things happen, whether it's in my personal life or in my professional life.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready for a quick response round?
I hope so.
Okay. So, we have quick response questions. This is our terrible buzzer. Isn't it so obnoxious?
It is.
And I've got a handful of questions here, maybe 2 handfuls, and you got 5 seconds to answer or you get buzzed.
Okay.
They're super fun, but you got to go quick. If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Pizza.
Good one. What's your spirit animal?
Greyhound.
Good one. If you could swap lives with any fictional character, who would it be?
I'm forgetting her first name, but the little girl in Secret Garden.
Oh my goodness. So I just saw number 1. I saw it, Left Turn. I love Secret Garden. Favorite book as a kid.
Is it really?
Oh,
it's mine.
Was it?
No,
it's still today.
I have a collection of, I think it's probably it's always growing. So it's between 30 and 40 different editions of the Secret Garden.
God.
I have Purse of the Secret Garden. I have all the things Secret Garden. So
it was such a good read when I was a kid. It was probably one of the first books I ever really got into, and it just felt so magical and felt like so
That's why I love gardening.
Yeah.
The way that
okay.
she writes about gardening
Oh,
in that book is how I feel when I garden.
okay. I can understand
I love
that.
that.
Yes.
Like when
I
she's,
love it.
you know, about the daffodils and everything.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, I love that book. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
that makes me so
Yes.
excited.
That's
Well, the Memorial Opera House is doing a show, and I don't know when it comes out.
Oh, I need to
So
know.
it might be even, I hope it's not after this comes out, but don't forget, guys, we're in, podcast time travel. So, but I was taking my walk. I try to get some steps downtown often, and I saw that they have the little banner up for it.
Oh
so,
my goodness. Let's go together.
Garden. Oh my God, we should. I would love this. It would be so magical. I will try to find dates and I'll get them to you. Sorry, I was so excited. What is your favorite smell in the world?
Flowers.
Of course.
Peony.
Yeah.
Peony,
peonies. That's a great one. Cats or dogs?
Both.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a joke in our house. We just lost our greyhounds. We had sisters, greyhounds. We just lost them about a year ago. But we also have a set of a sibling cats. So we joke that we only rescue sibling pairs.
So sibling pets, doesn't matter which one.
Yes.
Okay. What is your most used emoji?
Probably a smiling face with the gritting teeth.
Yes. Yeah. The concerned smile. That's a great one. What is one talent you wish you had?
Probably better public speaking.
Okay. Really? I think you do great.
I always think I could do better. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
Anything trashy.
It is exciting to me how many women say the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
No, a lot of things.
Like, do you have like a Bravo favorite or like a game show favorite or something?
No. And I don't like, I watch a lot of like the limited series, like on Netflix or whatever.
Oh yes, so like the docuseries and stuff like that.
No, I don't like. People always joke. I do not read nonfiction at all.
Really?
It bores me. I don't like documentaries. My husband likes to watch them all the time.
Me too.
Like how America is made and like how the food.
It can't be too angsty. Yeah, like some of the bad stuff. I'm like, listen, I don't need to know that life. Let me just.
The amount of my staff that are into true crime. And I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need to learn about people dying and all that stuff.
Like Richard Ramirez. Let's leave him over there.
So,
okay, interesting.
But definitely.
So a little trash TV.
Yes.
If you could instantly master any instrument, what instrument would it be?
I would love to bring back my limited clarinet skills.
Okay.
Yes. Band girl way back in the day. So yes, definitely.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Really?
I hate coffee. I don't even like when they put coffee taste in the chocolate cake or something.
Really?
I hate it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. If you could have dinner with any person, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. Don't
get buzzed.
Probably my birth mom.
Oh, okay. You were
adopted. I don't know her. I don't know if she's dead or alive.
No, nothing.
So that would be interesting I would love to know. That would
be interesting.
Like what made you choose to put
adoption?
Adoption. I'd just be curious to know more about the background.
Family. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm so lucky to have a twin sister because I have a glimpse to that a little bit by comparing, kind of seeing, that must run in our family. But
and were you adopted together and you grew up together and all that stuff too, right?
We were before the time that we were twins, of course, and that we were the time before they could have split us up.
Yeah.
So my mom tells a story. My adoptive mom tells a story of how they got a call and say, "Oh, we have a problem." And she's like, "What? Are they blind or what?" And they said, "Well, she's a twin sister. Will you take her too?" And I'm like, "What if she would have said no?"
I know. Could you imagine?
I don't know. So
that's fantastic.
But I really.
And then you have that kind of piece of your family. That's wonderful. What is the weirdest thing in your fridge right now?
Probably a whole bunch of lemons that I have taken the zest off of, but I haven't used the lemons. Because I've been making one of my favorite new recipes, which is a lemon raspberry with my raspberries in the backyard muffin, and it takes the zest of a lemon. So I'm de-zesting all these lemons,
juice,
but
so
I don't need the juice. I'm like, what can I do with it?
Add that to the lemonade bar. Yeah.
Right.
If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
I would take a page out of Hermione Granger and be a time twister so I can do 3 or 4 things at the same time.
Yes, that's my favorite answer.
Yes.
That's great. What was the last thing that you Googled?
Gosh, it was a statistic for the state library actually this morning.
That's not surprising to me.
No.
And what is one word your best friend would use to describe you?
Silly.
Silly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You made it through. You didn't get bust. One was real close, but yeah. So anything we didn't touch on today that you would like to mention?
I don't think so.
Get to that library, folks.
Yeah.
Get out to your local library. Yes. Check it out. Get a library card. Those are all things I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say, I mean, the one thing I'll never stop saying is that I'm a cheerleader for libraries and the way that libraries make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
So if you aren't already using the library as a personal resource, go check it out.
Yeah, everybody's so nice. They'll help you with everything. They're not going to ask for your wallet. Like, no, it's so great.
No, and they'll definitely find the resources that you need, whatever you're looking for. So they're ready and willing to do that for you.
And what do you hope that other women take away from your story today on the podcast?
I think that anything's possible. I mean, I would not have thought I'd be in the place I am now. Even 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So I think take a chance on yourself and just see what happens. Let the story unfold for yourself.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Julie. You are amazing. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you a lot. So
of course, I am so happy to be here. You guys stay tuned. Of course, rate, review, tell the podcast land that you love us. Follow us if you're not. Subscribe on YouTube, all those good things. And come back in 2026 for the next episode of All About the Girls. We'll see you guys then.